I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright.
Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send?
Here I am. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go. If you lead me, I will hold your people in my heart. By the Lord of snow and rain, I have borne my people's pain. I have wept for love of them. They turn away.
I will break their hearts of stone, give them hearts for love alone. I will speak my word to them. Whom shall I send?
Here I am, is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night.
morning and welcome to the February General Meeting of Providence United Methodist Women. I'm Carolyn Phillips, the current president, and I'm so happy to have you join us today. Our format will be a little different for this meeting. We will be talking with Ruby Mosser of UMAR by Zoom and asking her the questions that you've previously submitted to us. So I think it will be a fun and informative conversation. I'm so pleased that those of you at home can still enjoy our wonderful speakers even when we're not able to meet in person. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. If you are new to United Methodist Women, please feel free to contact me through the church's website, and I will be happy to recommend a circle to you so that you can experience the fellowship of a small group within the UMW. Now, Valerie Wilson, our spiritual growth coordinator, will open our meeting with a devotion.
Good morning and happy Groundhog Day. Have any of you seen the movie Groundhog Day? Bill Murray plays the role of a self-absorbed TV reporter who is sent to Punxsutawney to cover the annual Groundhog Day festivities. And then he gets stuck in a time loop where he is forced to relive February 2nd over and over again. At first, he goes through the stages of disbelief and despair, as every morning at 6 a.m., he is awakened by the same song playing on the clock radio. Then he decides to take advantage of the situation and robs an armored car. But gradually, his attitude starts to change. Every day, he rescues the same boy at the same time who falls from the same tree. And then he saves a man choking on food in a restaurant. He starts a self-improvement project, learning how to play the piano and do ice sculpture. And he actually gets to know the people of Punxsutawney, and he starts caring for them. His transformation from a self-centered jerk to a truly caring person is a long, slow process. But in the end, he finally does learn how to love others until one morning, he wakes up to a different song on the radio, and it is finally the next day, February 3rd. Isn't this what our Christian journey is all about? When we follow Jesus, we open our hearts to his Holy Spirit, which over time transforms us from self-centered people into people who love others as Jesus loves us. It is a lifelong process with many failures along the way. And I know that some of us would love to have some of those days to relive over and do again. John Wesley called this process going on to perfection. In other words, loving more perfectly. Let us pray. Lord, fill us with your Holy Spirit of love and teach us how to more perfectly care for the people in our lives. Walk with us, Lord, on our Christian journey and draw us ever closer to you. Amen.
Thank you very much, Valerie. I'd like to do some short business. You should have received your new 2021 UMW directory by now. And I want to commend the great job done by Melanie Trotter and Gloria Sin. At the time the directory was sent to print, the position of chair for the Ruth Circle, which is circle number 3, was open. And now I'm thrilled to tell you that Jackie Logan and Amy Sutherland will co-chair the Ruth Circle. So be sure to write those names in your yearbook. Amy will also continue her position as treasurer of the Ruth Circle. The yearbook committee plans to issue a digital copy of the directory at several points throughout the year. So please inform Melanie Trotter of any changes that are necessary so that we can keep the digital copy as up to date as possible. I'm happy to announce that UMW Sunday will be March the 14th. As everything else, it will be a little different this year, but we will still have some involvement in the service. And Pastor Randy will deliver the message that day. Now, Carolyn Middlebrooks is going to introduce our wonderful speaker for the day.
When Carolyn asked me to introduce Ruby, I called Ruby and told her I would need help. I couldn't introduce her as the person who had been at UMAR forever. But that's how I think of her. People come and go, but Ruby is constant. Ruby sent me her bio, and this is what she would like you to know about her. Ruby is a woman like all, juggling many roles. As development officer for UMAR for the past 14 years, Ruby advocates for UMAR's residents. It is Ruby's job to educate and encourage the faith communities, volunteers, and donors to include adults with disabilities so they can live, work, and thrive. Ruby loves to garden and to cook. She hates to clean up the kitchen. She is the daughter of a preacher and her mother an independent businesswoman. She proudly lives in Winston-Salem with her husband, Ted, a nurse, her mother-in-law, Nancy, Olivia, her 26-year-old daughter, and a rescue beagle named Cooper. As a member of Faith United Methodist Church, Ruby volunteers as convener of the Mission and Ministry team, chairs the Benevolence Committee, is a member of the Special Needs Committee, and is an active member of UMW. Along with her daughter, Ruby co-founded the Sparrows Project, a mission to help combat food insecurity in Winston-Salem. It is my pleasure to welcome Ruby Marcer to our meeting this morning. Take it away, Ruby.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Carolyn Phillips. And that was a great devotional. We all need to hear that we could really get a do-over with Jesus. And I can promise you, I've gotten lots of do-overs. I just want to take a minute to thank the Providence UMW group, and I'm going to announce something today. The first gift from Providence UMW was in 1996 for $50. You guys have come a long way, because the last gift, which is 2021, will be 25 years. The last gift you guys gave us was $10,700 was the largest gift. So you guys have just been absolutely amazing. And we are so blessed and so grateful. So celebrate that. 25 years is a long time to be involved with an organization. So you guys must totally love us. I got involved with UMAR kind of by accident, but we know there's no real accidents. My daughter was born with a disability 26 years ago at Presbyterian Hospital. And I was basically told that she wouldn't be anything or do anything, and I could sign her over as a ward of the state. So basically what that did for me was kind of light a fire that I was like, you don't know what people are capable of. And how could you say that? So it's been a long journey for me, not only as a mother, but as an advocate, to really believe that people with disabilities should be included and can be included in everyday life. And disabilities has been around since people have been around. A lot of people want to know kind of what is UMAR. We're basically a nonprofit that supports adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities across Western North Carolina. And a lot of people talk about the acronym UMAR, and we're no longer defined by that acronym, but it stood for United Methodist Agency for the Retarded. And because retarded, society has made it a bad word, which all it is a medical diagnosis that you need in order to get services. We decided to change our name to UMAR Services Incorporated and try to encompass a lot of the things that our participants want their life to be. Now, my daughter, Olivia, has cerebral palsy. She has a lot of little gifts, not only cerebral palsy, but also thyroid disease, sleep apnea, seizure disorder, allergies. She has a gluten-free, dairy-free diet. I call her my miracle mess because she was 2 pounds and 14 ounces, and now she's a grown woman, and I can't believe the time's flown by so quickly. But she went to High Point University. She has danced at the White House with the wheelchair dance group. She is starting her own nonprofit. And I really believe that if we just give people a chance, they're gonna totally outdo what you think they're capable of. And we see that every day at UMAR, which is really fun. That's probably the best part of my job. A lot of people want to know what intellectual disabilities is, developmental disabilities, pervasive development disorder. There's lots of names for it, but it basically encompasses anything that would impede your developmental years from birth to age 22. Autism, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, Down syndrome. There's lots of labels wrapped around disability, but it's really about what the person can do, not what the person can't do. UMAR is very person-centered, so we try to provide services which encompass residential, vocational, and community. That's where the Live, Work, Thrive comes from, to help people who may have genetic disabilities, mental retardation. Disabilities are caused by lots of reasons. It could be at birth, it could be a trauma after the age of 5, so it would be a traumatic brain injury. We serve adults age 18 and up, and some could be a little younger if we're doing vocational services. We have an operating budget of $8.5 million. We are across Western North Carolina under the conference of the Methodist Church. We were started by the Methodist Church. We have to fundraise over $1.2 million a year to cover the difference in what the government funding gives us for services and what the quality of life is. Well, I'm going to show you a little short video that'll help explain a little bit more, and you can see pictures instead of me just talking. Then I'll explain the impact that COVID-19 has had on us, just like everybody else. And then I'll answer some of your questions. You've had some great questions, and I can't wait to share some of that stuff.
I used to live with my parents here in Charlotte, and I wouldn't be going out and doing stuff. I would just be bored, but UMAR really changed my life.
UMAR was started in 1983 by the United Methodists in Western North Carolina. UMAR's mission is to promote community inclusion, independence, and growth for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities through residential, employment, and cultural enrichment opportunities. That is a mouthful, so we like to sum up our mission in 3 simple words: live, work, thrive. UMAR provides residential, community, and vocational services, as well as day programs, which are art centers.
You know, I think what UMAR does for the residents is they not only provide a home, but they enrich their lives. I mean, they give them a sense of community and a sense of purpose. And so, you know, what they do for those residents goes way beyond just somewhere to live. And, you know, and it just means a lot to be part of that group and to be part of their team.
But what is UMAR on a deeper level? UMAR is hope for a brighter future. UMAR is compassion, a kind heart when you need it the most. UMAR is love. All of that is at the very center of the thrive part of what we do for the folks we support.
I work at Call Up Dog. I put labels on bottles from 9 to 11 in the morning on Fridays.
My UMAR job coach helped me find a job at McDonald's.
It's just like going into another family, but it's more bigger.
UMAR is a place where people with disabilities can learn to be more independent, be involved in their community, make friends, and live their life knowing they will be safe and supported. Ours is a sacred mission which is not to be taken lightly. I have found that the people associated with UMAR have a strong sense of purpose and a belief that we are all God's children.
Without UMAR, my son would be lost in the system with little support or guidance for his future. Instead, he lives, works, and thrives every day living in a UMAR home. I could not ask for anything more.
Join us and be all in for UMAR.
Okay, that was a great video, wasn't it? And I know that it lets you guys understand a little bit more about what we do. Developmental disabilities with COVID-19 just adds a whole nother level of support needs. Our folks are very high risk because of their underlying health conditions. And a lot of them have more than just one. Like my daughter Olivia, she has cerebral palsy, but she also has asthma. So that's one of the key things. A lot of our people that we support have mental health issues. They may have hearing disabilities or vision disabilities along with a physical disability or a mental disability. So with the governor's orders, a lot of us staying home. We're kind of feel like Groundhog Day, for sure. It kind of gets to be the same old thing. As far as UMAR is concerned, and in the interest of safety, we did have to limit our visitors. A lot of our participants had to stay at home. Our art centers were closed. All of our fundraising events had to be canceled. I mean, everything basically stopped. So we were really suffering for a while. And really at the 6-month impact mark, UMAR had lost over $400,000. So I promise you, every bit of support is so important. Not just now, but it's always been important. And now it's even better because we appreciate things that we probably didn't even understand we needed to appreciate until we didn't have access to it anymore. Well, because of that, a lot of our participants were not able to go to their day programs. Everything in the state basically shut down, as you well know. That also causes a lot of mental health issues. And mental health is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but I know even for me, it's been really difficult because I'm an extrovert. I'm out there, I'm constantly on the go. I have a hard time sitting still. And whenever you combine that to not being able to go anywhere, you can't do anything, it's hard. And for a lot of our adults, they already have issues being in a social setting. And UMAR helps them be out in their community. So all of that was basically taken away. There's activity loss, there's income loss if they had a job, there's routine disruptions with their programs. They're not able to volunteer, they're not able to attend their church activities. So a lot of that is with being cut off from their families, they start exhibiting behavior issues. So UMAR's had to help with staffing to help kind of combat some of those. We've been working to provide alternatives. We've got some grants to help with technology, which is great when it works. Sometimes not so much, to help connect families. We've done window visits, porch visits. We've delivered art boxes to homes. We've had drive-by visits. One of the great things is that our participants are actually getting outside more and doing a lot more things in parks and doing some of those activities. It's brought them closer to each other because living in a home with 5 or 6 other people, you have to get along with each other. And just like my family, I love them dearly, but spending 24/7 with them, yeah, not so much. It's like, it's time for some, mom time. So it's been a challenge for sure. Uh, I think some of our participants have had to go back home for health reasons, where it is just too much on them mentally, and they were not understanding that they couldn't go out and they couldn't be with their family and friends, and so they went back to their homes, and we have some openings across Western North Carolina in our group homes right now. uh, and I think when we had COVID has impacted us as well in our ability to keep our people safe. We had an outbreak in Winston-Salem in one of our group homes, and we ended up with 13 staff people ill. So we were scrambling to make sure that our participants had what they needed. Then our participants got it, and they had to stay in their rooms, and churches stepped up. The United Methodist Women's Group that I'm a part of in my home church delivered meals that were already cooked to the home so that the residents didn't have to worry about getting a good meal. It's just amazing how people stepped up. There's still lots of good news about what's happened with UMAR even during COVID. It's given us hope to press on. We've had faithful donors. We qualified for the personal protection loans through the government, and that was able to keep us afloat through that difficult time. Repurchasing the personal protection equipment. A lot of our people, because they're medically fragile and because they're on a lot of medications, we go through personal protection equipment a lot. We've had to pivot to do virtual events. Providence has been the host of our annual UMAR luncheon every year, and we had to cancel it this year. So we had to quickly pivot everything to go virtual. It was one of the first virtual events in Charlotte, which we're pretty proud of, because we raised a little over $50,000 on our first attempt. So now Zoom is great. People are kind of getting tired of the whole virtual thing, but that's what keeps us going right now. It's been great. This whole COVID pause has let us reevaluate our services and how we can do services better. And we're so based on individual people and what they need in order to live, work, and thrive, that once they've recovered from illness, they really have been able to express themselves better, to advocate for themselves and say, I don't like this. I want to do something different. So right now, shot clinics are a big deal. UMAR's actually been able, because we're qualified as a long-term care facility, been able to get injection sites going up at each one of our sites. So our participants and staff are getting their first shots right now, which is great. And we're staying vigilant. Our residents and our staff are learning and adjusting. So there is good news wrapped around our Groundhog Day. I just appreciate you letting me share. I know this is a lot of information and it's gone by really quickly. So I want to take a minute to answer some of your questions.
Let's talk a little bit about the total number of people served in our community. We've heard in UMW about the Angel House, and we've known Nikki and those residents through our church. Now, how many other homes like the Angel House exist?
UMAR actually has 21 group homes across Western North Carolina, from Hayesville to Greensboro. So we are underneath the umbrella of the annual conference of the Methodist Church. It is the same geographic area. We also have 9 independent living apartments that are in Huntersville. right on the property right beside Huntersville United Methodist Church. A lot of our properties are named after or right on Methodist donated property. We also have an independent living home and a duplex. We also serve adults in their own homes. If they live in an apartment, UMAR can provide services to come in and help them with personal care or respite for their families if they live at home. And we serve right at 400 people in different ways all across Western North Carolina. Oh, and we're in 12 cities, by the way. So it's not just Charlotte, but in Charlotte specifically, we have 5 group homes. We also have a group home in Cornelius and one in Concord, if it's, you know, surrounding area, the metro area. Those apartments count in that group, and so does the Charlotte Arts Center. And you're probably going to ask me about the art centers, aren't you?
That will be coming up. But first, several people had asked for you to explain the selection process for admitting a young person to reside in a group home. I mean, do you take things like personalities into account?
Oh, absolutely. When you think about living in a community setting with basically sorority sisters or brothers, relationships are really important. One of the first steps is speaking to the family. People come to UMAR because we've been around for 38 years, so people tend to have heard about us. We get referrals from churches, word of mouth, other families, the Department of Health and Human Services in different areas, Department of Social Services. All of those go through an intake and assessment process to see if they're really a good match. There's medical and psychological evals that people need to go through, and people can actually go and visit and meet all the residents. And typically the residents have a big say in who comes to live with them, obviously. And then we also have an opportunity for people to come and like spend a weekend, like a weekend getaway, pre-COVID, of course, not now. That's messed up everything. But we still have people that come and visit and see, and they have a 30-day trial period, and then there's kind of a 90-day, let's see how this is going. And we've had people say, this is not for me. I want to live on my own. And that's why we try to help people be where they want to be and do what they want. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Well, let's talk a little bit about pre-COVID, because we hope we'll be back there one day soon. Tell us about day placement and where the residents living in a home would typically go during the day. You know, I know some have jobs, but tell us the various things they might do during the day.
Just like you and me, we have residents that are everywhere from age 21 to 76. So there's a big gap in there, and the average age is about 45. So we have typically 3 groups of people. The younger ones, they have jobs, they volunteer, they go to day programs. Depending on which county they're in, each county or city may have different services, and they have different clubs, they have different locations. I live in Winston-Salem, and there's several day programs in Winston-Salem. Up in the Asheville area, there's a similar day program, and our art program is like that, where people go during the day to learn different types of skills. If they're not working, they may go for day placement if a job isn't working out or they can't handle working. Our residents are only able to have $2,000 in assets. So if they have a job, they have to be careful not to earn too much money So a lot of them have part-time jobs, and it would be anywhere from the hospitality industry. We've had folks work in a dentist's office. We have people working in the UMAR office doing administrative tasks. We have a gentleman, I mean, it's all across the board. It's based on what they're interested in. And our vocational services help people kind of identify and assess what they want to do, and then move into that, and then find out if they don't really like it and want to change jobs. And we support them with the job coaches and the training that they need, and whatever services they might need in order to keep that job until they don't need it anymore. Job coaches can fade away when the person can be independent. We also have folks who continue their education and are taking college classes. We've had several participants get their degrees. It basically depends on what they want to do. Then we have participants who are retired and will tell you, I'm retired, do it yourself. I'm not working anymore. They want to sit on the porch and watch TV and take naps and go to church and go to the fitness center and do puzzles. It's really, it's whatever they want to do. We try to help support the person and where they are. Post-COVID, of course, has done a lot in that realm of us getting creative and how to keep folks engaged, because it's really important to be engaged with your community. And we've had groups drop off stuff to help the participants feel like they're still a part of their community. Gift cards and activity kits and, of course, paper towels and toilet paper, hand sanitizer and wipes, all the typical stuff.
Great. Okay. Thank you. That was very informative. Tell us about the cost to run a UMAR home. Where does the money come from?
The cost to run a home is really based on the level of care that our participants need. We have some homes that are much more independent and they don't need as much staff care. They can do activities on their own, or they can stay in the home on their own if they have the authorization from their doctor and if they're their own guardian and they're able to stay on their own. Then we have people who need constant 24/7 supervision because they couldn't be safe on their own. So homes that have that level of medical need have more staffing costs, of course. So those homes are more expensive. So it would be anywhere from $200,000 to $370,000 a year to operate a group home. Most of our funding comes from state and local governments in reimbursement for services that we provide. About 81% of our income comes from that. Then we also have donations, which we constantly need. We will pretty much take anything that we can get. As far as in-kind donations, we don't want animals. We don't want fur. But we've taken cars, stocks, cash. Cash is the biggest thing that we need, because that allows us to purchase the items that the home needs and that the home needs to operate and wants, because we feel like that it is our participants' home, and they want to be able to decorate it and have the things that they want on their own. But most of them only have $66 a month to live off of. So that's been, and even that sometimes has been cut down based on what their level of support is from families. About 5% of our income comes from our own services that UMAR can get out of income with art sales and our work crews and things like that. So that's only makes up 5%. So a big bulk of our income is from donations and grants and the government. So we really are trying not to rely so much on the government and build up our individual donors. Legacy giving is a big thing. We have folks that can do planned gifts, stock gifts. There's lots of ways to support us. Lots. We're open. Talk to us. And cookie walks. I mean, imagine.
Cookie walks are good.
They are. We love them.
Okay, well, can you describe a typical day at one of the group homes?
Yeah, I can. But you know what? I think I'm going to let one of the group homes do that. We'll let the Angel home give you guys a tour. And I'm sure that they can show you kind of what it looks like on a typical day.
Hi, Providence United Methodist Church Women's Ministry. I am Rashida Jones, the residential manager of UMAR Angel, and this is Nikki Middlebrooks. We want to thank you for your countless donations, your kindness, and your compassion shown over the years to UMAR. We're going to give you a virtual tour. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we can't have in-person tours. So here is a quick oversight and view of our home. This is their exercise room. What are you doing here, Nikki?
Exercise.
Right, so this is where the ladies exercise periodically throughout the day to make sure that they are still getting their exercise done.
This is the sewing and the right stuff they are working on with a needle.
Right, and this is where the ladies complete their activities in the common areas. This is our kitchen and our living room area, where the ladies spend a lot of their time lounging and enjoying one another's company. Now this hall are 3 different rooms for the ladies to enjoy their space and their privacy. This is this hall's bathroom. This is the laundry room, and where we have our extra freezer for storage. It connects both of the hallways for the ladies. On this side is another of the ladies' rooms, and this is Nikki's room. She has her bed and her closet, and then of course her daily living space where she has a lot of her activities, pictures, hygiene products, and different things that she uses throughout her day to day life. We have another bathroom, and this would be for the right side hallway. And then we're back to the common area. As we said, we want to thank you for all of your donations and all of your kindness shown to you all.
Thanks for the tour. That was great. There's a lot of activity that goes on in a typical day, as you can tell. And keeping up with 6 people going 6 different directions. I have to give a shout out to our staff who they're totally in it because they love it. And it's not because they get a lot of props or compensation. They truly have a love for keeping up with our participants and letting them be who they choose to be. And just loving on them. I think it's great. I think it's great. I just appreciate you guys having me, and I hope that you've learned a little something about UMAR. We appreciate the bond that we have with Providence and coming to support us and visiting. I know that we can't do a lot of that right now, but when we can, you guys certainly have to come back and see everything in person. Stay tuned because we are transitioning our events to kind of virtual and in person however we can, and we've got some things in the works. So we'll keep you informed of how to stay engaged. Thank you so much. We just love you guys.
Oh, thank you, Ruby. We love you too. And it was wonderful having you join us today. I'm so happy that we've been able to connect virtually with those of you at home. I hope our program has encouraged you to reach out to others and to lift each other up through prayer. Let's be supportive of UMAR with our prayers and our monetary donations during this time when they face challenging hurdles without the benefit of the big fundraiser luncheons. Now, our March meeting will be at 11 o'clock on March the 2nd. The Reverend Luke Edwards will talk to us about Fresh Expressions, which are micro-faith communities that are a form of church for our changing culture, established primarily for the benefit of people who are not yet members of any church. So join us then, and I think we'll have a great program for you. Now, in closing, we'll listen to our favorite hymn, Blessed Be the Tie That Binds. I treasure the UMW community, a fellowship, and I'm sure you do too. Thank you for all that you do to keep us bound tightly together in virtual fellowship, even when we cannot meet in person. Goodbye.